Close your eyes. Imagine a world with no borders, no nations, no songs, only wind, through forests older than language, only mist, curling around trunks wider than cathedrals, only footsteps, shaking the earth, not from tanks or trains, but from titans who walked as mountains given breath. This was Earth, 230 million years ago, before flowers learned to bloom, before mammals dared to stir, when reptiles, not in slime, but in splendor, rose and ruled and remembered. We call them dinosaurs, but they were so much more. They were the first poets of motion, the first architects of ecosystems, the first sovereigns of sky, land, and shore. And for 180 million years, longer than primates have existed, they shaped this planet in ways we are only beginning to understand. This is their story, not as monsters, but as ancestors of awe. We named them after dragons, painted them as nightmares, put them in arenas to roar and kill. But the bones, they whisper differently. In Montana, paleontologists found a Maiasaura nest, not one egg, but dozens, arranged with care, guarded by an adult whose bones show signs of arthritis, yet stayed. Fed hatchlings regurgitated leaves until they could walk, until they could run. In Mongolia, a Velociraptor fossil, locked in eternal combat with a protoceratops, not as predator and prey, but as equals. Claws gripping horns, jaws clamped on neck. Two lives, frozen mid-struggle. Neither won, both remembered. And Trudon, that gentle genius of the Cretaceous, brain larger, relative to body, than any reptile before or since. Likely nocturnal, likely curious, possibly playful. These were not mindless beasts. They were parents who sacrificed, hunters who strategized, survivors who adapted. They felt fear, joy, hunger, loss, just slower, wilder, wiser. The truth. Dinosaurs didn't lack emotion. We lacked imagination. For over a century, our museums lied, not out of malice, but ignorance. We dressed them in leathery scales, gray, green, monstrous, because that's what we knew. Then, in the shale beds of Liaoning, China, the earth coughed up secrets, fossils so perfect, they captured death mid-motion. A microraptor, four wings spread, frozen as if about to leap into flight. Anchiornis, crowned in russet crest, wings striped black and white, posed like a courting bird. Sinosauropteryx, tail banded in ginger and cream, likely flaunting to rivals or lovers. Feathers weren't for flight first. They were for warmth, for display, for love. And yes, Tyrannosaurus rex almost certainly wore patches, perhaps downy fluff along its spine or bristled whiskers framing its jaws. Not for flying, but for feeling, sensing wind, signaling mood. The greatest revelation of paleontology isn't that birds descended from dinosaurs. It's that dinosaurs never left us. Every sparrow's chirp, every hawk's cry, every crow's defiant caw is a dinosaur, still singing. It began quietly, a star, not wishing harm, simply drifted. For millions of years it tumbled through silent space, until gravity whispered, here. On what we now call the Yucatan Peninsula, life pulsed, normal, ordinary, sacred. Triceratops browsed ferns, Edmontosaurus nursed young, Quetzalcoatlus rode thermals high above. No one looked up. Why would they? The sky had always been kind. Then a new star appeared, brighter each hour. By noon, it hurt to look. By dusk, it cast shadows at midnight. And then, light. Not fire, not explosion. Just pure annihilating light. Hotter than the surface of the sun. Forests ignited. Oceans flashed to steam. Shock wave followed. Silent at first, then screaming rock, crushing continents. Ash fell like snow. For months, for years. Photosynthesis died. Food chains snapped. The giants starved. Slowly, quietly, alone. They didn't die in battle. They died, wondering why the sun forgot them. Who lived? Not the swift, not the strong, not the clever, the humble, the hidden, the ones who asked for little and took less. Tiny mammals, no bigger than your palm, trembling in root cellar darkness as the world burned above. They ate seeds, beetle grubs, fallen fruit, carrion no one else wanted. They didn't rule. They waited. Birds, already feathered, already flying, tucked into cliff hollows, riding out storms on wing beats inherited from raptors. Crocodiles, an ancient, patient, sank into murk, slowed their hearts, outlasted the dark. For 2 years, no sun. For a decade, no forests. For a millennium, no giants. And then, green returned, and the small ones stepped into the light. They climbed, they swam, they burrowed, they flew. They became wolves, whales, apes. They became us. We are not the inheritors of dinosaurs. We are their echoes, learning to roar again. How do we know any of this? Not from bones alone. Bones are silence. But footprints, they are motion. Stomach contents, they are hunger. Nest arrangements, they are love. In Mongolia, a trackway shows a herd of sauropods, adults on the outside, juveniles protected within, marching together like elephants. In Alberta, a fossilized stomach reveals a Borealopelta last meal, ferns, charcoal, meaning it ate after a wildfire. A survivor. In China, melanosomes, microscopic pigment capsules, reveal Sinosauropteryx wore a raccoon-like tailband, likely to confuse predators or attract mates. We don't dig up death. We resurrect moments. A dinosaur blinking in rain, a mother shielding her egg from storm, a predator tasting defeat. Paleontology isn't science, it's seance, and the dead are very talkative. Her name is Sue, Tyrannosaurus rex, female, 28 years old, ancient for her kind. 67 million years she slept, until 1990 when a woman named Sue Hendrickson found her, scattered, shattered, sacred. Lawyers fought over her. Museums bid millions. Tribes demanded repatriation. She became property, then icon, then queen. Now she stands in Chicago, 90% complete, every rib cracked and healed, every tooth worn and replaced, jaw ravaged by infection. Yet she hunted on. She didn't just live, she endured. Children press hands to glass, whispering wishes. Scientists trace her scars, decoding pain into perseverance. Elders stand silent, seeing not a monster, but a mirror. You suffered, they seem to say, and still, you rose. Sue doesn't need a crown. Her survival is sovereignty enough. They ruled longer than mammals ever have, longer than ice ages, longer than flowers. Yet in one afternoon, gone. Not because they were weak, but because the universe is indifferent. The asteroid didn't hate them. Climate didn't conspire. Nature didn't punish. It simply shifted. And those who could not bend broke. What does that say about us? About our concrete forests, our plastic seas, our smog-choked skies? We too live between catastrophes, between choices. The dinosaurs teach us this. Size means nothing. Strength means nothing. Only adaptability means survival. They didn't vanish because they failed. They vanished so we could learn. Step outside. Look up. See that pigeon strutting on the power line? That's not a bird. That's a dinosaur. Feathers, hers, Hollow bones, hers. Wishbone, hers. That cock of the head, that strut, that sudden flight, all hers. The dinosaurs didn't die. They transformed. They adapted. They survived. And every morning, they sing to us. Not in mourning, in reminder. The world changes, they chirp. Will you change with it? Listen. Really listen. That's not birdsong. That's legacy.